So, we just left the house of the most grumpy half-orc in the world, hadn't we?
Thereabouts, yes. I mean, I've met some grumps in my time, but not quite as bad as that.
Yes. You'd think he'd be more enthusiastic to at least help us speak to the source of his problems. Lena, was she called?
That's right, yeah. And we popped over there to see what was going on, and
Yes, the poor child seemed nervous and quite confused.
mm,
That guard was useless.
Gary, Teddy,
Jerry?
something. I don't know. It didn't
Gutless.
seem very important. Yeah,
Gutless and speedy.
Catalyst Gary, the getaway guy.
Hmm. And the way he spoke about the guardsmen, as if they were supposed to just be there to hit things, not be there to look after the town.
I mean, essentially, they're hired killers, right?
There was a child, with no family and no understanding of how to look after herself, and he didn't even consider doing something about it.
Do they
I mean,
have social care down there?
I mean, fair I was tearing the throats out of assassins at half her age, but I feel like they should have done something for her.
Well, if the town ever comes under your jurisdiction, perhaps you can introduce some kind of universal societal care or something.
I think I will be introducing some fired guards. Oh, speaking of firing people, can we fire LeTonk from ever speaking to another person again?
Does seem to be a bit of a liability.
I've never seen buying lunch made so difficult. I
Mm,
felt terrible until the man spoke.
it's true. We really did make an ass out of trying to buy fruit.
From an arse of a man.
He was indeed an ass of a man.
And so casual about it, too. His horrible wife and his awful children. Who speaks of their family in that manner? It's him that was stopping out.
Indeed, you have to wonder if these folks are okay. They always seem to treat marriage and kids as like a yoke around their necks. Like, why do it in the first place if that's how you feel?
Indeed. Although, I must say, the wife was lovely when we met her.
Certainly seemed it, yes.
Far too lovely. Or perhaps we just can't be near nice things.
No, indeed. So, we get inside the house, and then Latonk's all sneaking upstairs.
Yes, where they're speaking to this overly nice woman and her four perfectly behaved children, and one of them's just staring at him as he walks away in the most obvious manner.
He doesn't really know how to do stealth. I don't think it helps that he can't really see what he's hiding from.
I suppose that does offer somewhat of a handicap. Just as well his new friend was there to help.
I mean, perhaps he's like one of those children. If I can't see you in the peekaboo, then perhaps you can't see me either.
That would explain so many things.
We really do need to have a word with that little fella.
I feel like a blacksmith needs to have a word with that little fellow.
Well, I can heat metal, you know.
You can heat people's tempers too.
Hey, look, it wasn't my fault she flew off the handle at us.
Well, perhaps I could have distracted her a little better.
Well, they did get pretty angry.
That's a word for it. Also the part where they turned into wererats, that was a bother.
Slightly aggressive, yeah.
And then all that time Letonk had spent sneaking away, just to be thrown up into the air and have to come running back down.
Indeed, I saw him going up the stairs, and next thing I know, he's coming in through the front door.
Yes, he says he did a backflip out of the window, but I didn't see it.
Do we take his word for it?
How would he have been able to land? Is he able to tell which way up is?
I think gravity does that.
Well, surely gravity would have brought him right down on his pan.
One can only hope.
Hmm.
So that's about the time you got bit, right?
Yes, in the tail. You'd think at least having something in common would have made her go easy on me, but no. She decided to run me through and infect me.
Well, I don't know how bad that's gonna be.
perform a lunging stab at Enough, having now easily taken out the most of her rat babies with a stab to your gut. She's going to deal 8 points of damage.
I am not doing well. I've only got 6 left.
Do you say that to the...
Yeah, I feel like in universe they're acutely aware of their own hit points.
It's Tree's turn.
Right. Okay, let's smack her about again. Maybe. 18!
That's a hit.
Yay! Right, so it is just 1d8. Okay. 3.
Nice. So after kind of a few unsuccessful swatting attempts, Trees finally brings... It's the shillelagh, right?
No, I'm using double-handed, so it's still 8. Apparently I didn't need shillelagh, I just picked spells badly. Because I'm a goof.
It'll work at higher levels.
Well, you bring your weapon down across the creature's back. And now it is Enough's turn.
Alright, Enough's going to get a staff, and she's going to try and split her head open with the iron end on it. I guess 6 doesn't hit.
It does not. You're clutching your middle, which has been stabbed, and then you just kind of like shake your stick at her. Go, get out
I
of
don't
here,
want
you
this to
rat.
be the last thing I do before I die. Why is this?
How healthy are you?
I have got 6 healthies remaining,
Oh,
and I don't know if I'm bleeding and taking consistent damage from that.
why didn't you
6.
tell me? I'm a healer!
I literally said that. There was a whole discussion about, in universe they're aware of the hit points.
Yeah, but,
It's-
you could have made me aware that you were badly injured.
I said it.
Grr.
But did Enough say it?
Did you say it enough?
Well,
Right, okay.
It's Latonk's turn.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna spend a key point and use Flurry of Blows, which, if I'm remembering right, just gives me a bonus attack.
Okay.
Oh, fuck.
what?
It gives me 3 attacks.
Nice.
Right, so yeah, I'm gonna attack her. In fact, yeah, this is what I'm gonna attack her. Right, that's it. Nothing else has been said yet.
You're just going to hit her.
Yeah, it's an unarmed strike.
22, not natch.
Nice.
So you've had her.
D4 plus your strength.
Or dexterity.
Cannot
So plus
finesse your fists.
Monk can. You can use
That's-
dexterity instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes.
Correct. Shit, I forgot about that.
So that was 4 damage. Fucking hell.
With
of
a
all the
botch.
damage, it's a fucking 1 plus 3.
I thought you were doing like 3 hits.
Right, does 4 damage kill her?
No.
Right, I'm using a key point to hit her another 2 times.
Okay.
That's why I was sort of pausing, because I didn't want to spend a key point and then my first hit kill her.
13 and an 18.
Okay. So Latonk, you did a punch followed up by a back fist that she ducked for, followed up by an uppercut that does connect. So roll 1 more damage for me.
D4 plus 3. 7!
There you go.
Can I just say that instead of an uppercut, I sort of bend down and then sort of jump straight up and hit her with my head? Pan?
Sure. Yeah. Be like a headbutt
Yeah.
of some kind.
Head up a butt cut.
Mud cats.
That causes her to fly backwards and land on her back, which is going to leave her prone. For Doug is going to just trot over and not bite her, I guess. He missed somehow, which is fine because now Thomas is going to bring Goldie down in a coup de grace and cut her head off.
Okay then, what happened?
I think she died, mate.
Why is there a room full of rats?
It's a bit late to ask them that now.
I'm asking you why there's a room full of rats. Where's the family?
Maybe they were always rats.
Maybe the rats were also a family. Have you considered this?
Wait a minute. So that's a level 1. Yeah, I'll spend a level 1 on you. So I'm going to cast Cure wounds. So that's 1d8 plus wisdom. 13 points.
Oh, that's better.
Nice.
So 19, I'm back to 1 shy.
So Trees, you lay a hand on, you touch enough, and enough you feel positive energy radiate through you,
First time for everything.
restoring your health.
Thank you, Trees.
Most welcome.
So, oh god, there's 3 of you, then Doggo, and Thomas. So there's 5 because the sprightly guard
fucked
ran
off.
away.
Yeah.
The 5 of you are currently standing in the ruins of this house that was once owned by the people that you've killed.
I mean, we didn't kill the guy who owns it. Like, he's still at work being miserable.
Yeah, you could go kill him.
Think
I
we're some
mean-
kind of bloody murder hobos.
Come on, I'm not that destructive. Alright, I blew up the sofa, but I left the back wall in.
Where'd the family go?
I think we killed them all. They turned into rats, and then we killed them all.
The people turned into rats.
Werats.
Where did you come from? Weren't you upstairs?
Yeah.
And then you were at the front door.
Yeah.
Did you jump out the window?
Yeah.
You can't see it, but he nods in approval.
Everyone nods in approval. In LiThomas' head.
Yeah. In reality, Enough's just sort of staring at him. Just like, okay.
Like when he landed it out of the window, he was imagining like a crowd of people just sort of giving us gentle applause.
And literally no one saw it.
No one saw it.
I like to think that this is how the whole pan on the head thing started. You put it on, went, does everyone think this looks good on me? You just held silence and assumed that was just nodding approval.
Alright. Enough's just gonna go grab a Wererat head. So, do you think the guard captain might want to know about these then?
Yeah.
Does the husband know about these?
I'd say I'll let you break it to him, but I can't think of a worse idea.
Well, I mean, looking at what we know, the husband going missing isn't unusual. The family being quiet was unusual, which suggests to me that something happened to the family and not the person who went missing.
Much the same as the young girl's brother recently died after she was trying to draw our attention to the woodsman. I am starting to wonder if it were the people making the reports that are in fact the ones we should be suspicious of, trying to distract us from, well, this. Trees, dear?
Well, what if they were trying to encourage us to end up in a position where we might also end up as werats?
Enough's just sort of gonna look at her slightly chomped tail. So you're the healer?
Yeah, and you said you were pretty much healed after that last bout.
Yes, but is Wererat catching? And if so, would you have seen to that?
I am more of a triage type. Or triage, if you like. So maybe we should just pop along to the apothecary and get someone slightly more seasoned to have a look at it. Or maybe a healer. There must be a local healer in town.
Okay, first off, well done for the triage thing.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that. It's really hard not to interrupt you just losing my shit.
I agree.
Yay!
So, as far as the plan goes, should we take the head to the guard captain, explain that we have an entirely new set of problems, and then head off to speak to Mary if there isn't a dedicated healer that he can point us to?
Yeah, seems like a good idea. Can we go by the market?
5 gold pieces, mate.
Did you find anything upstairs, Latonk?
No.
You surprise me.
What was with the...
I like how you've not even mentioned that, like, my first spell out of the gate sort of threw you at the roof.
Right.
I don't know, it's kind of a fun thing to no-sell. Just you were bumming around and then all of a sudden just woo! No comment.
I'm not following this at all. What are you on about?
Right. At no point have you mentioned, oh, by the way, you like threw me 10 foot up in the fucking air, you bitch.
True, I suppose we might not technically know who did it there.
Well, I'm not going to tell him.
Shh, nobody tell him.
Nobody knows.
So, if we grab a head and start walking to the guard captain?
Good to pay me.
That's good.
Thomas speaks up. Do you want to go and have that seen too? He's looking down at your tail. Oh, well, no, he is roughly your height, so he can still look down at your tail.
Well,
Still look down at the tail. The tail's not on a face, is it?
I can say I keep it like wrapped around one of my legs. I don't exactly like wave it up in the air. Like an angry snake.
You might do it now.
I wave my tail up in the air sometimes, singing hey.
Keep
It's my
the
tail, yo.
keep the blood flow away from the tail bite. I don't know.
No, it lives round the leg. That's where it goes. No one trips over it if it stays there. Trees, would you be alright to sort this yourself? And she's just gonna pass you off the head.
I mean, I can carry it, so we heading off there now?
I might go straight to Mary if Thomas is worried.
Fair dues. Well, we'll meet you at the apothecary then?
Yes. Okay.
Right, see you there when we're done.
She's just gonna go.
LiThomas going to go with trees.
Okay.
We've split the party.
Who does Thomas come with, or does he just awkwardly hock her?
He's gonna go hang out with Latonk.
It's the sweetest romance.
So who will lead the way?
I guess the one that can see should probably be leading the way.
Well, there's two of you that can see actually.
Well, Thomas, to the apothecary.
No,
I thought you were going to the guard captain while I went to the
also thought you were
apothecary.
going to the
You know what I
guard.
mean? You know what I mean.
The opposite of what you said. Sure.
Yeah, that thing. That thing. Look.
All right. So the three of you kind of make your way back towards the central guard hub where the town is in a bit of a tizzy. They've definitely have people mobilized and going into town. The direction that you're coming from as you approach the central guard tower. Reed comes outside and kind of looks alarmed, staring around and then catching sight of the three of you. I got a report of some fighting in town. Where's your friend?
She's just nipped off to see if she can find some kind of healer. We're a bit worried. In fact, should we have a sit down? I think it's slightly unfortunate news.
Reed kind of catches Thomas's eye, who nods fairly seriously. He leads all of you inside the guard tower. The large stone structure is on the inside, cluttered with desks, kind of in a way that you might imagine like an old-timey police station. Some cells line the back walls, but Reed leads you upstairs. You can see that it continues to go up and up, but you stop on the second floor and enter a small armory / office. It looks like a combination of both, but it's mostly just axes all over the walls.
Restrain yourself, Thomas.
Is that like a family thing?
I mean, yes. Thomas, in fact, when he comes in, he like looks around and nods approvingly. Reed kind of looks out the window, watching as guards are scurrying around. In the distance, you can actually see, yes, not rat-like scurrying.
I like the idea that the cowardly guards just sat crying under his desk.
There's lots of guards running around. In the distance, you can see a few different houses are actually covered in smoke. So,
sorry, covered in smoke?
Yeah, well, they seem to have smoke coming from them in an unusual way. Black smoke.
What's with all the fire?
Yours is not the only fight that we heard about.
Apparently. Okay, I guess we should probably fill you on our news, and then we should probably move on with all the fire. So,
I'm sorry, my brain just did a really stupid thing. This entire time you've just had the Wererat head on your hand like a puppet, and that's been talking too.
And occasionally I look at the Wererat head, and then it's sort of we look at each other, and then I'll just get it to whisper in my ear, and I'll just nod.
Yeah,
Something.
and he's just been so busy being serious that he's not even noticed you yet. He's just like carrying on.
Something about this group and heads.
Listen, we've got a lot of head to give. We've got a lot of head to talk about. If you could we'll just for a moment. So, we hacked a woman in two. She turned out to be a Wererat. And I'm not sure that was all of them.
Hang on, you hacked her in two and then she became a Wererat.
She was a Wererat. She happened to be a Wererat. We hacked her in two. You were there.
I wasn't there for all of it. I don't know how it started.
Well, they were Werats. The kids were Werats. The mum was a Wererat. We killed them all. Here's what's left of mum. And, I mean, if you need a new pot accessory there, I suppose we could do that for at least another day before it starts to stink. As long as you don't leave it by a fire again, fella. So, that's that news. We're kind of concerned a little bit about the possibility of there being more Werats around the town. Possibly, maybe those who'd been reporting missing people. I think maybe there might be something to look at there, certainly. But in other news, what's with all the fire?
Well, he first he looks back and nods gravely as you're talking. Before he answers your question, he kind of points at the head. What compelled you to believe that you needed to bring that?
It was Enough's idea.
Apparently, the other two I'm with like gathering as much head as they can. They've got a lot of head to give.
You said that.
They do. Like a lot of head. Gagging for it.
He opens and closes his mouth.
Exactly. Just like that.
Second,
No teeth though.
you said your friend is concerned about...
Possibly more Werats.
Because of disease?
No, because they're were, and I know, like with the wolfos, that they tend to be a bit contagious.
Well, the thing is we were investigating the missing people, and in one case of the wife reporting that the husband had gone missing, the husband usually goes missing. He goes off brothels and pubs and whatnot. But what was unusual was the family, which is usually a ruckus household, was quiet. So it seems that there's a possibility that it's not the people who are going missing that we need to look out for, but the people that are reporting them. We don't understand why. It's just that seems to be the thing.
Possibly some kind of invasion, maybe.
Okay. So you don't think it can be spread like disease? Because I'm highly concerned about the fact that you dragged a recently dead head through the city and is now in my office.
What are you doing,
No,
Trees?
Listen, I'm a medical professional, and that's definitely not how it works.
Okay, how does it work?
Trees look shifty. Probably spread by bites, maybe. But, I've not dealt with these particular types of were creatures before.
What if there were werewolves that got bitten by a rat?
That could work, see? There's so many possibilities. Let's not start bandying the concept of disease around just yet. You'll start to panic.
How good is Tree's understanding of lycanthropy?
I don't know if she would have encountered them in the woods.
Is this
I
so?
guess lycanthropes. I mean, I don't know much beyond having watched Underworld a few times. I guess they're more sort of popular area type places rather than
wilderness.
Yeah.
So, as Trees is saying this, is this her understanding of lycanthropy?
No, she's just bullshitting hard.
Okay, then please roll a deception check for me.
Can I make a pedantic point?
Please do.
Lycanthropy comes from the Greek words of lycos. Is it lycos? Lycos for wolf and anthropos for man. So lycanthropy is specifically werewolves as opposed to transferring
Ratanthrope?
into maybe ratanthropy.
I don't know, what's the Greek for rat? Because a werewolf is just man-wolf.
I know the common rat is ratus. Right, deception, yeah?
Yes. And I understand. Yeah, I understand that. Lycanthropy is the blanket.
Ho!
Natural 20 plus 2.
Nice!
Very
Give me
nice.
the noise.
Okay.
Rat in modern Greek is a word. Araios.
So
I can't do Greek.
I'll ask you this, James. How are you, the player, going to transfer this knowledge to Latonk to pass this knowledge on to Reed?
Oh, I'm not. I'm just.
Okay.
You're
Well,
just kicking about in the
unfortunately, you're gonna
background
have
The
to
tongue
instead.
doesn't give a shit.
you're gonna have to put up with this being called lycanthropy. Reed nods thoughtfully at your words, and he goes, "All right. Well, to be candid, we don't have a lot of medical professionals here in the city, so I'm going to appoint you as an expert, and I'm going to have to ask, as current, informal lead of this town, that you assist in inoculating and keeping the city safe against disease."
Well, I think first thing we really have to do is track down all of the Wererats we can.
Hmm.
Now, I've heard tell previously that getting rid of certain plagues and diseases, that they have basically burnt bodies and set fires to town. And I can't help noticing that the town's on fire. So could we please move on to that tiny aspect?
The areas on fire, those are two of the other residences,
The residences we've been today?
the ones that you didn't get to.
All right. Right. And did your men set them on fire, or was this just a thing that's happened?
I just understand that a fight has broke out, and that I now see that they're on fire. I've dispatched some guards to go and combat it, and at least according to the reports that I have right now, the situation is mostly under control. But
Right.
all of those witnesses are dead.
Right.
Dub in the guard.
That's
What?
the point. The guard ran away, didn't he?
Mhm.
And now there's no evidence. Maybe the guard was.
Did you look at him when you had your detect magic?
I looked at the room and everything in it. Apparently, I didn't recognize any of the magic.
But he was closer to the door than us.
I would have done a full sweep.
It seems like we need I mean, we've identified, because they helpfully gave us a list of missing people, so we need to stop them, right? If they're the people of reporting others as missing, are the troublemakers?
So you want us to start arresting people who are reporting others as missing?
Yeah.
Maybe if you could ask them just to come in to give some kind of statement, and then from there we could see if we can get anything out of them, and if they happen to be Wererats as well, at least we've already got them in some kind of custody.
Hang on, Trees, you used detect magic to see that there were rats.
Yeah, I could certainly use detect magic if we could. As I say, if we can get them in custody, I could probably use one of my spells and see if I could get anything out of that.
I was going to suggest if the captain's got any guards with magic, they would be in the teams to go out and look for rats.
Haven't we already been told that there's not many magic users in town apart from us?
Quite possibly.
You were?
Latonk is very bad at paying attention.
Just Latonka.
Yeah.
What time of day is it?
I will say, oh fuck, early afternoon.
How long till sundown?
You've got a few good hours.
Might I suggest, at least until we've got this looked into, a curfew after dark. Hopefully we can stop anything.
Well, with this much destruction, yeah, we'll have to. I don't like to put the town gates up, but I don't think I have a choice. Unfortunately, that's going to include you all.
I thought you wanted us to keep an eye on things. I mean, we're happy to help out, but...
Well,
We'll
no, of
we'll
course,
leave
you'll
you
be
alone.
exempt from the curfew, but you won't be able to leave the city until I
That's
can.
fine.
Well, that's my holidays ruined. Well, we're not going anywhere.
Where This was your holiday, was it, Latonk?
No.
He's not gonna say anything to that. All right. Well, trees, I'm gonna ask if you can stay here. Anybody that we can bring here to have you review them, uh, if you don't mind.
I mean, I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best use of my skills.
What do you feel like?
I feel like maybe if I could report in every few hours, we'll check everyone who's come in, and then I'll head off again and do as much helping elsewhere I can.
Make a would this be persuasion? God, please be persuasion and not diplomacy.
I've got +7 on
Then roll.
that. Yeah, persuasion 22, not natural.
Perfect. All right. That might be for the best.
I thought so.
Latonk, I'm not sure how you can help here.
I mean, are there any areas that your guards are having particular trouble in combat? Perhaps me and Thomas together could go down and assist in any difficult fights.
If you'd be willing to be on call, I could make sure that you and Thomas are first to respond to any particular fights that break out.
Yeah.
All right.
Meanwhile, elsewhere.
Yeah. So enough. You make your way to the apothecary pretty easily. You're pretty familiar now with the path. Why don't you go ahead and just make a Constitution check for me?
13.
So you're not feeling very good. You feel unusually warm and just the tiniest bit queasy. Why are you whispering that?
I don't know. I have to edit this. It's going to be a pain.
The apothecary is open.
Okay. Is 13 enough to at least not look like I'm dying on the inside?
You want to like do yourself up, like make sure that you appear fine.
Yeah, just like sort of, I'm fine, but not walking like, looking like a sack of shit.
Your outward appearance right now is fine.
Oh, okay. Fine with that then.
Okay.
So I'm just going to walk into the apothecary and do I see him, or is he up to shenanigans?
The store is, as per usual, empty.
Mary, I don't suppose you're around.
You hear a muffled voice call out, "I'm here."
Okay, I'm going to walk towards the noise.
So you make your way back to the back right corner of the store. You only find bookshelves and a large pile of books.
Mary?
Hang on. You hear the clatter of books and a face pops out of one of the bookshelves. Oh, how are you?
That's why I came to speak to you, in fact. Sorry to trouble you, but it is quite urgent. You're quite familiar with magic, and
Mm-hmm.
and I've just had a run-in with some wererats. Do you know much about them?
Well, as much as any casual study of magical beast would. I'm afraid I don't know. Not overly familiar with the signs of lycanthropy.
Well, the part where they turned into giant rats is what gave it away to me. My issue is more the fact that one of them has attacked me, and now I'm feeling unwell.
Oh no.
I was also run through with a rapier, but my friend healed that up, so is there any chance you would know how contagious it is, or could point me towards someone that would?
Oh, we're friends. She said we were friends.
I can edit that out, you know.
Oh no.
Well, we had a temple of the healing hands here, but the clerics, most of the practitioners have long since left. There's not a whole lot
She's
of.
gonna look about as impatient as a face can look. Like, can we get to the bit where you give me the answer?
He looks down at you because he's on a bookshelf high up, taller than you actually. And he's looking down at you, matching your look of impatience. Oh, come on. I'm trying to think. I'm on my feet, or belly, as it were. Not a whole
Would
lot
you
of...
like some help down?
Yes, please.
Okay.
He, like, extends both of his arms kind of like a baby.
Okay, so she's just gonna, like, pick this grown-ass man up like a little toddler and just plonk him on the floor.
Thank you. He brushes himself off. Don't tell the furbolg you did that, please. All right. Where did you get bit?
On my tail.
Is that a figure of speech, or do you mean your actual tail? These are important questions, ma'am.
On my literal bleeding tail.
Well, don't just look
And
at
she's
people's tails, not without their permission. Let me take a look. He stoops down to peer at the tail, and he pulls out a monocle, looking very closely. You said your friend, she healed your rapier wound up?
yes.
Any particular reason that she left this festering?
It wasn't mortal. We had bigger problems, like a family of Werats and the potential for more.
I see.
So she doesn't have the spells for it.
All right. Well, come into the back room, and he kind of stands up and waddles his way towards the back.
She's gonna let him get a good lead on her so that she doesn't walk past him in 2 steps.
That's fair. Leading you towards the back, you kind of find an office combination bedroom area. You suspect that this is where Mary lives, and he clears a space on his rather small workbench and then pats on it for like you to sit down.
Okay.
All right. As you take a seat, he kind of looks to you as he gingerly picks up your tail and then places it across the workbench, a cleared space, and he begins to bind it. I have some herbal remedies that should help. Uh, it's a little early to tell if this is going to be permanently afflicting you or not, but how do you feel?
Warm, queasy. I've been worse.
Mm, That's good. You might be hardy enough to just fight it off in general. Although magic disease is not a treat. He takes out a small root and begins to chop it up, and then chews it. So, are there rats in the city now?
Yes. And she's just gonna look a little bit disgusted.
Mm. And he spits it into a a bandage. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to put this on your tail.
Fine.
All right. And with that, he kind of places the salve onto the wound. Make another Constitution check for me.
15.
Okay. So it stings a lot, and your tail is now kind of twitchy, like you can't stop it from moving, like you have permanent restless tail syndrome. Yeah, I've never done it to a tail before. Should work the same, I think. But if I know Reed, like I believe I do, he should not be letting people out anytime soon. So that's pretty much the best you're gonna get.
Can she control a tail enough to put it back where it lives, or is it too jumpy?
So you want to wrap it around your leg and kind of keep it more hidden, as usual. You can constrict it, but it's gonna like cause it's gonna link into your leg, and then your leg is gonna be twitchy.
I'll deal with it.
All right. Well, he kind of claps his hands together. That should well, you should be sorted as much as you can, anyways. You doing okay?
Fine. Thank you. How much for the healing?
He waves his hand. Just, please make sure that the town doesn't erupt into rats.
She's just gonna give him 1 gold.
Uh-huh.
At least let me pay you for the tools.
Well, if you insist. He takes the coin out of habit, just kind of like chomps on the edge of it, and then nods satisfied and tucks it into a pocket.
My friends were supposed to be meeting me here. Do you mind if I wait?
No, please.
Is there anything high you need reaching?
He frowns. I can get
Oh,
up
it was meant to be a nice offer.
I know. I can
Which
climb.
reminded him of the thing.
In fact, I have a little harness, and he goes and shows you a little climbing harness for the bookshelves.
Impressive.
Thank you. So as you take care of that, Trees, Latonk, Thomas, three of you have been given roles with not real supervision on how you want to carry these out.
Nice.
Reed has said that he'll send a runner for you if he needs any of you urgently, but you have freedom to go to the apothecary if you wish.
To the apothecary.
Oh, that's a thought. Will he have any books?
Books?
Like, not just in general. I know he has books in general. I meant that might have something about Wererat.
Oh, yeah, I could see if I can scrounge one up. His default is to go and look for the books on the bottom. If you'd like, you can roll and kind of examine for the books higher up. Yeah, go ahead and use perception.
5. There are definitely books here.
That is what you gather. You just kind of look at the different titles, the words kind of swimming together after a while. You don't know if it's from the disease or from the twitchy in your leg that you're trying to deal with, but you can't focus enough to discern what books might have your information. As you're waiting and kind of milling around, Latonk, Thomas, Doggo, who I forgot to mention, is still there, and Trees come back, and they enter the apothecary.
You right, Lev?
Enough's gonna look at Mary like the question was for him.
I'm doing great. How are you?
All a bit of a senior little face. How's it going?
Oh, it's good. So you got your horny friend here into some trouble, I see. He says, kind of jerking his thumb back at Enough. Did you say you wanted a book on were-rats or bear-rats?
Wererats.
Okay. He kind of drops a book and then goes back to looking.
Enough's gonna go and pick up the book about bear rats just out of curiosity more than anything.
Yeah, all right. Looking through the book, you find somebody's writings and ramblings on tiny bears, rat-sized bears.
Oh, it's better than I thought it would be.
To go on a quest.
Okay, as soon as I get to like the first picture, I'm just gonna pass the book to Trees instead.
I will squee to a point that it almost goes ultrasonic. Got this tiny woodcut.
How's that feel in your pan?
This tiny little woodcut print of a bear rat.
Thomas is gonna peer over your shoulder as you're looking at this picture and squeeing. I see a tiny bear.
It's adorable. Yeah, hang on. How do I do that in Trees' voice? It's adorable.
Latonko.
The voice was not meant to do that.
What is a tiny bear?
It's like a normal bear, but really tiny and adorable. It's the sweetest thing.
Latonko, I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're looking at books at all. Like, the city's on fire and they're just looking at bear rats.
The city what?
The city's on fire.
Not all of it.
Oh, I see. So you were going to mention this when?
I don't know. It was Tree's idea.
Tree's idea to set the city on fire?
No, Tree's idea to tell you. Tree's idea to come here in the first place. I wanted to stay at the castle where all the guards are.
You can stay there with your guard friends if you like. You don't have to come with me.
Looked like you knew what you were doing.
Sometimes I give that impression.
So yeah, that family of were-rats wasn't the only issue, and there are guards in the city fighting other were-rats.
And it seems that the places that we were told to go where there might be more suspects, all their houses are now on fire. Which is making me very suspicious about that guard that ran off earlier.
Can your dog find him?
Hey, doggo.
Hello?
Do you remember that little guard fella that was with us earlier?
Small food? And he points at Latonk.
A little bit bigger than him.
Big food. And he points at Thomas.
The other one.
No.
Well, thanks for everything. This has been most enlightening. I knew I should have gone with find person. Anyway, I've somehow become the town's expert on Wererat. So if we could find a book in here for Wererat, that'd be brilliant. And
Why do Mary overhears you and he kind of just waddles back over to you? Why am I looking for a book if you're an expert on were-rats?
that will all become clear. I just little hazy on a few of the facts. And I'm gonna touch myself for guidance.
Ooh la la.
And I'm gonna. Would it be investigation or I suppose it'd be investigation to try and find the Wererat book in here, right?
It would, yeah.
Okay, so investigation 21, and I've got my D4 as well, so 22. It's a lot of 22s tonight.
So you're digging around in the books. You realize that Mary does not organize them, at least in any form that you understand to be organization. You find like cooking books along with foraging books, which you think might mean that these books are organized like as crafting, but that you also just find some on like sailing and boats, but not the craft of them, just like the history. That is to say that you have not found any books on were-rats or had any leads on where they might be.
Mary love, is there any sort of organizational structure here?
I remember where I put books. Got a mind like a steel trap.
Okay, well, if I could just pull that trap apart for a moment and ask if you've got any books on were-rats, we urgently need them.
Yes.
Yes, you do? Awesome. Do you know where that book is then?
Steel trap. Somewhere in this direction. He he just like points to his left.
I'll start looking in that direction then.
All right.
Yeah, Latonk's going to join in at this point. I don't know, he's just annoyed that this is taking forever, and when... I don't know, I just got the image of Latonk just sprinting across the room into a pile of books.
Thomas follows.
Enough size going to start twitching along with her tail. Latonk, while we're not going anywhere, may I ask you something?
Okay.
That pan of yours, where did you actually get it?
In an alley.
I was asking for a more in-depth story.
I was stealing from someone and they found me and chased me into an alley, and then the fellow thief I was with didn't help me out and I ended up with a pan on my head.
I see. Have you ever tried to have it removed?
Do I look like an idiot?
You have a pan on your head. You're lying in a pile of books.
I think in the...
Do I look like an idiot?
Yes, in the politest possible way, you do kind of look like an idiot.
Well, I'm assuming it's not a problem you've had money to throw at. Should we see if there's a blacksmith in town that could take it off for you?
Why?
It certainly seems to cause you an impediment.
Well, I mean, you're the one who's, instead of helping us find Wererat book, is just stood there talking about my pan.
Yes, I'm struggling to walk.
You can still read. It's better than I can do. And look at me. It's about attitude.
She's just going to twitch in the opposite direction.
Oh, Latonk adult, can you not read? Thomas says.
Oh.
I can read very well. Just very short-sighted.
I'm sorry, Latonk adult.
Certainly have.
I like the idea that he's decided that he's going to get you some glasses.
Oh dear.
Nick, are we ever going to find this fucking book, or should we just give up?
After, you know what? Each of you pick a number between 1 and 6.
6.
4.
5.
Who wants to pick for Thomas? Latonk, pick for Thomas.
3.
I like the idea that the dog turns up with it.
Oh,
After searching for long enough, Mary eventually picks up a book. Aha! Steel trap, he says. And he waddles over to enough.
nice work, friend.
He gives a small bow. Are we looking for something else now? Maybe something on... He pulls a book up. The History of Ropes?
I would be interested in this.
He hands you the book, Trees.
Awesome.
LiTonk's just gonna like lean over from a bookshelf and just like with a massive tome, just go, "Is this it?"
Oh,
It overbalances me at the end of the question. And I go tumbling into with another pile of books.
Thomas catches you. No, this appears to be a child's book.
It's a massive child's book.
He opens it up. It's an explanation of tarot.
speaking of children, there's a young girl in town, recently bereaved and on her own.
Hmm.
If she doesn't turn out to be a Wererat, have you ever considered taking on an assistant?
Were you talking to the person who last spoke? Because that was Thomas. Or are you just talking to Mary?
No, I was talking to Mara.
Okay.
Why would I ask Thomas if he wanted an assistant?
I don't
He
know.
seems pretty handy with that axe.
Distraction.
Oh yeah, the cute girl and the massive... Yeah, that'd actually work really well.
Mary gives it some thought. I don't know. I guess. She tall?
Relative to whom?
He frowns. Okay.
Before I insult him anymore, like, tell me about the book.
So the book that you have is a field guide, it calls itself, on lycanthropy. It describes different herbs, including one that you saw that matched the one that Mary was chewing on before he spat it into the bandage and pressed it against your tail.
I'm trying not to think about that.
I know, I brought it up specifically for this again. And telltale signs, it says, of somebody who has contracted lycanthropy. Who's reading it?
He handed it to me, didn't
He did.
he? Me then.
Make a... let me see.
Those trees could read it over my shoulder, as long as she was careful not to take her eye out.
Anybody who wants to read the book should make a perception check or insight.
6, I aren't. But I must be feeling a little better.
10.
Okay. I will just say that as you read it, you get this nagging feeling like some of this is not necessarily researched. You are having an extreme difficulty telling what in this tome is fact, which you know that you feel your condition has improved since the spit on the tail. But you also cannot tell if some of these tips, including like look for people who are heretics, as signs of them having contracted lycanthropy, are accurate.
Okay. The author to it, do they have any particular titles attached to the name, or is it just some dude?
It is just a person who I did not have a name for.
Miss S. Dude.
Yes, that's their name, S-Dude. S.du-de.
Wow, they're way cooler than I thought they were going to be.
Dude, they could be named.
It's today.
Right, so is there anything about how it spreads, or is it just...
There are no... So it seems to be like a compendium, like a survival compendium, giving general notes on what the author understood in his combat against lycanthropy. And you discover that S does not stand for some, it stands for Simon. Last name is Dude, which I just like that name. So now it's canon.
You like today? Okay.
Okay. Right, do we get anything useful out of this book, or should we just, like, pay the man for it and leave?
What are you looking for?
I don't know. I've got a 6, so the fact that I'm not drooling in the pages is pretty much as I can ask for.
I mean, yeah, like there's information in there. Because it's not organized well, you're gonna have to roll every time you read it.
For a 21 with a crit,
Uh-huh.
does anything useful stand out to me?
Yes. So as you were flipping through it, it tells you that the traditional practices of combating lycanthropy and lycanthropes, um, holy symbols, holy water, silver, are all still tried and true and effective. Um, it details that bites and the presence of lycanthropes does not necessarily mean that you are infected. In fact, you can take a lot of damage from them, scratches, clawing, um, bodily fluid, um, and even like just generally being near them, and that does not enough to make you contract it. It does say, however, that once you contract it, you're going to need like high level magic in order to cleanse yourself of the blight.
Okay. And does it, like, the family went pretty savage on us, but they could control themselves, so does it affect you mentally?
Yes. So the book does not cover just wererats. It covers werewolves, werepigs, um, creatures of different things. Wererats, it notes that it links you to a hive mind. There's a central lord rat. Yes.
Oh great, we found an even bigger rat! I
Gotta
thought
find
we
a
were
bigger
running out
rat.
of bigger rats, but we found a bigger one!
There's always a bigger rat.
Your huffy noises about how many rats you're fighting is not appreciated.
I don't know, at least you're not sending us up against little tiny werebears.
No, but we need to go and find one of those.
If we find one, you can keep it.
Ah!
As long as you never make that sound again.
No
You
promises.
said a tiny werebear versus a bear rat.
Yeah, I meant a bear rat. Do you know what I
Werebears
meant?
are big.
Well, okay, so I'm a buy the book off Mary. How much does that set me back?
He'll give it to you for 3 gold.
Okie doke.
Mary, have you got any more of that? Have you got any of that herb they mentioned in the book? Yeah. I point to the bit in the bag.
Enough's just gonna shudder.
Oh yeah, I just spat a bunch onto her tail.
I shuddered too soon.
You have to tell me all about that story at some point. But for now, how much for just a bunch of that?
Uh, it's not easy to get. I can give you what I have left. It'll cost me a bit to replenish, but I feel like this is an emergency-worthy cause.
It really is.
He waddles to the back, and then waddles back, and then places 2 small bundles into your hand.
The town is forever in your debt.
Oh, I know.
Possibly.
Since there's a story there. Shall we head off and see what we can do then?
Of course. One moment. And she's just gonna take the holy symbol necklace that she's got and just sort of tie it to a tail and hope that that's gonna do something.
Roll a Constitution check for me.
17.
So the presence of the holy symbol on your tail definitely burns. But it's not in a way that is overly distracting any more so than your general fever. And in fact, you feel a little better.
In St. Thomas, is there a church or anything around here?
The orphanage where I grew up was a church. And Mary speaks up. Yeah, that got made into that temple that I was telling your horny friend about.
The one that closed?
It's not closed, it's just nobody's there.
I'd feel uncomfortable just looting an abandoned building. Does it have a custodian?
Maybe.
I'll go and ask the guard captain.
Okay.
Thomas, do you know anything about this?
No, I left that orphanage as soon as possible. The other orphans didn't like me.
Rude. You seem lovely.
Thank you.
So I'm proposing perhaps we head, see if we can pick up some religious symbols. Couldn't to have a little backup, and then maybe head on to some of these burning buildings, see if we can find out what's going on there.
I'd suggest going to the guard captain, finding out which of the original missing people's list reporters or whatever have still, because he said some of them have burned down, and then there's the two that we know about. Is there any others that haven't burnt down and we haven't seen to yet?
Are you asking that aloud, or is that your plan of action to go and ask the guard captain about
Yeah,
it?
that's my suggestion of what we should do.
Enough?
Well, I should like to ask the de facto ruler of the town before we go pillaging an abandoned building. Before we head off,
Mhm.
Mary,
Mm.
would you have any tools that could detect magic or detect magical diseases?
No, because I can do that.
Huh?
I do that, you know. He like points at you. Magic.
The way we discovered the Werats in the first place was that they showed up under detect magic. However, trees can't use it indefinitely.
Oh.
Would we be...
I've got it as a prepared spell.
Oh, I thought it was something that you got once a day.
Oh yeah, I get a free one, and I've got it as a prepared spell.
So you can do it indefinitely?
Well, I mean, as long as I've got spell slots. But...
Because it seems like enough is asking if she has a way, like an item that can do that.
Or a mirror. A mirror would do. Just something to take it off having to burn through all of Jen's spell slots.
Well, it's been a while. I could make a wand. That would, pretty much wipe out my budget.
What do you mean?
How much do you need?
The materials, I could make a wand, but it wouldn't be pretty. And then the energy and materials that would cost to make would pretty much be all the money that I have left.
Could you put a number to that?
Like 2,000 gold?
Well, you're on your own.
That's a bit spicy
Yes.
for my taste.
Unfortunately, that's not something I'd be able to bankroll.
No, I understand. That's why I didn't just do it.
If we get particularly desperate, we may have to find a way. However, would we be alright to perhaps call on you to just use the spell?
If you want to bring him here, sure. I'm not in a position where I can leave this shop.
Wonderful. I appreciate everything you've done for us. Trees, Thomas, should we head off?
Sure.
And she's just going to look around for LeTonk to see what shit he's getting into now.
Why can't you leave the shop?
I don't want to.
Seems legit.
Right.
It's not a good world for small people. Like
No what?
People are mean to short people. And
Well, I'm mean back.
well, not all of us have a big orc friend with an alarmingly large axe.
Oh, he's cruising for a bruising.
Enough's just going to start walking out the door.
LeTon's going to follow up, but he's going to sort of have a book in his hand and just sort of roughly push it into Mary's chest.
He's so mean. It's
Tom-
my job.
Thomas follows suit and he just kind of pats your pan on your head.
Oh.
It's okay, Latonkadon. I'm sure he didn't mean anything by it. All right, and I assume Tree's left as well with Doggo.
Naturally.
Okay.
I'm following.
So the 5 of you have exited the shop now. All of you plan on going to see Reed again?
Mm-hmm.
So as you are going, the lanky elf guard is jogging towards you. He looks out of breath. Hey, so I finished running.
Good to know you're keeping your fitness up.
Yep.
We're off to see your boss.
Yeah, he.
You're coming?
No, because he ran into me, and he sent me to get you. Actually, he sent me to get He said Thomas and the small, punchy man. Kind of looks
That's good.
over at LiThomas.
Oh,
Um,
I just love the idea that Thomas just picks LiThomas up by his panhandle like he would an axe and just hefts him over his shoulder like we're going.
can I roll insight? Because I want to know if he's telling the truth.
Sure,
This is the guy that ran away earlier, right?
that's correct.
Okay. 27 natural 20.
What the
Nice.
fuck?
Yeah, there's nothing
Did
about
you
him.
blow someone at roll 20?
I don't know. We're having a good night, which means if we get into combat, we will fuck everything.
You're having a good
You're
night.
having a great night. Me, the one that's injured, I'm having a terrible time.
I don't think I've rolled yet.
You rolled a 20 earlier.
Yeah, that was just pure fluke. Apparently you live on flukes now.
You have no reason to believe that he's lying.
I mean, with a nat 20, I can see into his very soul, so I
You-
guess it's
yeah.
lying.
So yeah, you peer into his soul and you only see cowardice.
There's a little bit concerned as to why you're staring at him, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Before you run off, I understand that is your skill set. How did Captain Reed respond to your little bout of desertion earlier? Oh, did you not tell him?
No.
Enough. There's a fight to be had.
I'll see the three of you later.
Are you not coming?
Well, you're going fighting, I'm going to see the guard, aren't I?
Are you?
I assumed. You wanted you
It's
to.
a role-playing game. Do what you want.
I'm going to go see the guard, Captain. You and your boyfriend can go punch things.
Right.
What do you want to do, Trees?
I feel like we should probably be getting on to having a look at the fires, but I never think splitting the party is a good idea. Perhaps we should all just go together. Stick together. Better safety in numbers, right?
Yes, let's all stick together.
Doggo barks up and says, Trees, being the only one who can understand him, hears Doggo say, "You're so smart."
Oh.
I know. You stick with me, doggo. I'll keep you fed.
I'm going to go out of my way to just make that guard feel uncomfortable with my very presence. Right, so what we're punching?
Apparently, there are some people in a heated argument that have drawn weapons, and there's a standoff.
Ah.
Oh, why would I'm really glad we came now. That was a bad situation to send LeTonk into. For 5 gold, will you stop arguing? Okay, I won't pay you though.
Don't give me a basket of fruit for 5 gold.
They'd
What a
just,
dick.
yeah, they'd just gang up and batter you instead. That's how you'd solve problem.
Fists don't lie.
Is that the Shakira
Yeah,
song?
that's your Shakira song.
I'm for mate. I've read the other version, but whatever.
That pop reference went right over my head.
Hips don't lie. No,
It's a song.
Yeah, I get that it's a song by someone called Shakira.
dude, Shakira's awesome.
Yeah, that just skittered over the top of your pan, didn't it?
Yep, right over the top.
Alright, let's go and involve ourselves in a domestic.
All right.
Has anyone broken it to that bloke we've murdered his family yet?
No, he's just gonna go home.
He's just
in
gonna-
the fucking front room.
And he's not even going to have a sofa to sit down on in shock. Just a pile of splinters.
To be honest, he didn't seem to like his family anyway, so maybe he'll just be like, well, that was a good day at work.
Well, I didn't sell much, but I don't have as many people to feed now, I guess.
Dope.
Right, once more into the breach.
All right. So the 5 of you are now being led by Timid Guard, who shares with you that his name is Gary.
I'm going to call him Timmy.
He makes a noise of protest. Oh, I'm Gary, though.
Gary the guard, gotcha. Gary the gutless guard.
I like that one better.
Gary, yes, Gary leads you to the tavern. Not the one that you guys are staying at, but to the Dirty Dog. Outside, you see many people with weapons drawn. Men and women on both sides. of different races, 3 each with like crossbows, and 2 sword-wielding people, each shouting at each other.
So there are 10 people.
Yes.
Right, cool. Okay.
Trees,
Hello.
any of those Werats?
Okay. How many spells have I got left? Oh, for a long rest.
Oh.
Okay, detect magic. Yep, I can do that. So yeah, what's going on in Spelltown?
In Spelltown, there are only 2 Wererats, and they seem to be the ones that are yelling at each other. I'm assuming that you do this while you're still farther away.
As we're walking towards them, I guess.
Yeah. As you're walking towards, you hear the voices of the 2 men kind of argue. Well, one man, one woman, and they're just accusing the other of having seen them and their friends skulk off to a corner and be a rat.
Listen, you're both rats. So why don't you just stop trying to throw each other under the cart, and we'll
Throw each other into the car.
work out what the bloody hell's going on here.
What? I'm not a rat. She's a rat.
Listen, I know you're both rats. What's going on? Is there some kind of were-rat civil war going on around here?
The woman looks shiftily between the man and you, and she goes, "No, she's the rat. Everybody kill the big
You
thing."
are both rats.
Enough.
I'm going to grab
Sorry.
them both by the head.
Okay, you've initiated combat.
Before that starts, Enough's just gonna use thaumaturgy, triple voice, earthquake, red eyes, scaring the heck out of anyone. Anybody that is not these 2, leave now. Do I scatter the crowd?
Roll to intimidate.
Surely with advantage with that thaumaturgy.
Yes,
Sure.
very much so. So I guess roll twice.
Oh, the shit. 14. That's above average.
Yes, it is. Give me a second. All right, so I'll say like the people with the crossbows kind of drop their weapons and run. The people closer are too startled by trees like suddenly picking the pair of the wererats up, and they just enter combat, having not quite heard you, although they are startled. So that's a total of 4 people still here. 2 wererats, 2 humans.
So there's 2 teams of people that we're gonna have to fight that are also against each other?
Let's see how combat shakes out. Side note, Gary also ran away.
We should start just using him as a dog walker. He's missed his call in life. Boy got legs.
Oh yeah, but Doggo can actually fight for us if I ask nicely.
Okay.
All right. So
Roll for initiative.
yes, please.
18?
Trees, you can get a bonus on it,
Hang on, isn't it?
Excellent.
considering that you initiated combat.
I picked 2 people up by the head.
Wow, that's my worst initiative roll, I think.
Oh no.
I got 8.
I see it.
Yeah,
Well, the
but
people listening don't, do they?
You know what? That's fair.
Trees?
3. I was going to get advantage, wasn't I?
You were. Go ahead.
4.
Oh, damn. All right.
I burned all my good rolls earlier.
So
So what? Enough's just good and mad and she is going to hit someone.
somehow, despite initiating combat, Trees is the last to go, perhaps focusing on picking these 2 creatures up. First turn is enough, then Thomas, then the human sword fighter, the wererat in Latonk's left hand, the human...
In whose?
In LiThomas' left hand?
Excuse me, fucking Trees' left hand. Then the other human sword fighter, the wererat in the right hand, Latonk, then Trees.
Where's Doggo?
After Latonk, but before you.
Yay. Just looking up the grapple rolls.
So I'm just going to say that your turn was picking them up by the head.
Yeah, that's one way to look at combat. You went first.
You went first, that's why you're last now. That's how turns work. So, the 4 of them, how hostile do they actually look?
The human sword fighters are pretty alarmed that combat has been initiated.
It's not been initiated, 2 people have just been picked up by the head.
That's initiated to them.
Do you want to have another go at shouting at them?
It's enough for them, as it were.
Alright, if they've not actually hit anyone, Enough's just going to like, ready a shocking grasp, sort of like light up each hand,
Mhm.
look at the humans if they're reaching for the swords and go, "This isn't a fight unless you want one."
Their blades are already drawn.
Okay.
They had them
Do they
drawn
back
when you...
off?
So yeah, you'll have to roll an intimidation check for me.
17.
So their blades are still drawn, but they're backing away from you and from trees. Has somebody explained rules of engagement to Thomas?
He's a mercenary, I guess he understands.
You could guess. Thomas draws
If not, he's
Goldie.
probably just gonna copy enough. But maybe without the lightning.
You hear Thomas let out a like blood-curdling yell as he thunders past you and just knocks over one of the swordsmen. He knocks him to the ground, though. He does not hit him with the axe, although Goldie is out.
Can enough just suggest that maybe they stay down?
Yes, talking is free action. Let's see if they listen. They don't. They get up and are going to take a stab at Thomas. Oh, shit. So, having knocked that guy to the ground, one holding like a saber, is intimidated by Thomas standing over him with his axe drawn and just kind of instinctively stabs at him, striking Thomas in the abdomen. And Thomas is going to take 5 damage. One hand still clutching Goldie, he kind of kicks the guy backwards, the blade coming out of his stomach, and clutches his middle, which is bleeding now.
Right, but the guy's on the floor in prone position at the moment.
They were. Human who stabbed Thomas was not, and then he got kicked over again. So he is once more.
Because that's their action if they're trying to get back up.
Yeah. It's the Wererat in Tree's left hand's turn, who is going to shimmer and their skin crawls, fur sprouts as they just start gnashing and like kind of writhing in your grip.
Right, so they need to make a strength athletics check or a dexterity acrobatics check against my strength athletics check.
And remind me, do you get to choose, right? Because you're the defender?
Yeah, I guess dexterity make most sense for a rat. They'd be wiggling. And then I need to do my strength, and it's a botch.
Oh no. So the trees, something about watching the transformation process, like maybe a couple feet from you, is just very horrifying, and your grip slackens enough to where it just rides right out of your hand.
That's its move. That's an action.
It is. It's gonna ready its blade, and then it is the second human's turn, who, let's see how they react to seeing the Wererat transformation. They are stunned. They get to scramble to their feet, readying their blade, but are still nearby enough. Now it is the second Wererat's turn, who's going to do the same thing. Roll for your grapple.
6. Oh my goodness.
Wow. So
What did they roll?
you're 21.
Oh well, yeah, that's fair.
Did shapeshift? How are you supposed to hold on to that?
Yeah. No, the same thing happens in your right hand. The lady gets a smirk, and her blonde hair goes gray as she just kind of writhes and squirms, becoming rat-shaped in your grip, and you lose track of being able to hold her as she squirms to the ground, also drawing her blade.
Yeah, laugh it up, Fuzzball. I told you we're both bloody wererats.
It's LiThomas' turn.
Where you said LeTonk was when combat initiated in relation to trees?
You would have been behind trees.
Okay. LeTonk's gonna scramble up Trees' back and then sort of elbow drop one of the wererats.
Okay,
It's just an attack, I just want it to be cool.
sure.
LeTonk wanted to be cool.
Are you gonna be LeTonk, not James? James could give a shit.
Yeah, James is too cool for D&D.
Oh, how do you... 6.
So LeTonk scrambles up Tree's back and does does a swan dive off the top of Trees, which is twice his height, mind you.
I think she's close to triple.
With his elbow extended, attempting to do an elbow drop. However, he's misjudged severely where he's dropping, and instead drops his middle onto the Wererat's blade. You're gonna get nicked and take 4 damage. Trees, you just see LeTonk crash and burn like right in front of you, using you as a step ladder.
Style it out, friend. Style it out. Okay, so Doggo. Does Doggo have? I guess it'd be an unarmed strike, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's equivalent to an unarmed strike.
So it's just 1d4.
Yeah.
Or is it just d20 to roll? Is there any?
Because you're not he's just like an animal companion, but not like magically linked to you. I'm gonna hold on to those.
Okay.
So just go ahead and roll them raw, and I'll tell you if they hit or not. Yeah.
9.
Do you want to direct him, or do you want to just let him do whatever he wants?
I'll let him do what he wants. Hopefully, he'll follow my lead.
He is gonna go and try and defend small food. He takes a nip at the Wererat, but does not manage to bite. He growls.
Nice try. Right, so yes, it's me. I'm going to bonus action Shillelagh, because I realised the reason I have Shillelagh is I get to use my wisdom modifier,
Mm-hmm.
which is 5 because it's not a save. So I'm going to do an attack with my staff. 8. Wow, I really did just burn all my good attacks earlier. Rolls earlier.
So summoning your magical shillelagh, you take a swing at the rat, who's, after seeing it's become cocky, having now dodged Doggo's bite and unwittingly nicking LeTonk. He's gonna feel pretty good about it. And now, with that newfound confidence, he sidesteps your shillelagh attack, and he's gonna taunt you in Wererat, so it just hisses at you.
Oh, you smug little bastard.
Enough, it's your turn.
Can I land Shatter just on the 2 rats, and because it's an evocation, manage to miss Trees, Doggo, and LeTonk? I'm assuming that Thomas is far enough away with the other humans.
Yeah, what's the range on it?
10 radius.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Ooh. 17, including a crit.
Damn.
Do Constitution for half.
What am I rolling against? What was the save against your DC?
13.
So the cocky Wererat manages to shrug it off. The lady Wererat is blown backwards.
Oh no, there's no blowback on this, it's just a 10 radius sphere that it hits.
Oh, okay. Well, she's gonna get thrown backwards 10 feet.
Okay. And it makes a loud ringing noise. Does that get anything extra against a rat because they've got good hearing?
Politicking your spell words. I like it. Not against the cocky Wererat. The lady Wererat is going to be temporarily disabled.
Okay, so that's 17 damage on 1. And what's half of 17? Do you round up or down?
Up.
Down.
Down? Always round down unless told otherwise. Huh. I was taught to always round up. This is bullshit.
They changed it for 5th edition.
Maybe. Or maybe I DM'd or was DM'd by some bastards.
Okay. So 8 on the cocky one.
Yes.
And the not cocky one gets 17 and 30 years?
Yes. Thomas is not at all pleased about being stabbed, and is in enough of a rage where he does not realize, or not in the place to understand, that he kind of initiated this. So he's just going to bring Goldie down on the prone guy. That is a critical.
Oh,
yeah, I had 2 warnings.
Wow. This is unfortunate. Thomas is going to cleave that guy in half.
What, vertically? Nice. I like the idea that he's just got 2 halves of a face now.
Yeah. So in a rage from being stabbed, Thomas brings his great axe right down the middle between this guy, who manages like half a strangled cry before just being silenced. Thomas has also now got blood all over him. Was that guy's turn. It's cocky Wererat's turn. He's gonna take a 5-foot step back, which is gonna trigger 3 attacks of opportunity. He knows that he's not in a good place, and he's gonna risk repositioning. Actually, LeTonk, roll high or low?
low.
Okay, LeTonk, you are still recovering from your massively failed elbow drop, so you're not gonna get the attack of opportunity on this guy. But Doggo and Trees are both going to get an attack of opportunity.
So 17 for me, 5 for Doggo.
Okay. Doggo is more interested in protecting Latonk, and so he just growls as you bring the shillelagh down and strike true on the cocky Wererat, the first non-magic attack that's hit him. Go ahead and roll for damage for me.
3.
Nice. So you just barely catch like the tip of his snout as he's dodging backwards.
I boot the snoot.
You did, in fact, boot the snoot. He's going to reposition and re-engage from your right, and that's not going to hit you. Takes a quick stab at you with his saber, but you are going to kind of artfully dodge out of the way. It is the other sword fighter's turn, who now has gathered enough of his senses to start fighting the Wererat.
Smart boy.
Not well. The lady Wererat, despite being dazed and blown back, parries the human sword fighter's strike, and she's gonna be concerned with him. Uh-oh, that's also a critical. Uh-oh. She's gonna stab this guy through the neck as she stands up. The human sword fighter kind of grasps his throat and gurgles as he kind of steps back, tumbles backward, and just lies on the ground, bleeding out. And now it's Latonk's turn.
Okay, I forgot. I've got, because I'm a halfling, I'm
Uh-huh.
lucky, so I could have re-rolled that if I wanted to.
Oh, you absolutely could have.
Fuck. Right. He's going to run up and try and drop kick the nearest Wererat, which I believe is the one just right of trees. 20, not natural.
Nice. Yeah, that's a hit.
Cool. 7 damage.
Nice.
Crit.
So, Latonk, seeking to redeem yourself, you do a little kip up. You kick your little feet up into the air and land standing full up. You're confident now that somebody must have seen this one because you're like right in front of trees and the dog.
Yeah, but at a knee level.
It's true.
I like that Doggo saw it and no one else did.
Hang on. Let's see if Thomas saw. No, Thomas is busy being enraged. But he will see you do a pretty sick drop kick. Take a full sprint and just fling your tiny body at this Wererat. You do like knock him back, and he takes the full brunt of your tiny muscular form to his chest.
Sexy. Okay, that's my turn.
All right, and now it is Doggo's turn.
14.
So Doggo, having fully acknowledged Latonk's athleticism, bounds up and also takes a nice doggo bite out of the Wererat's ankle. Go ahead and roll for damage for me.
1.
It's a good bite. The Wererat lets out a long hiss in pain, kicking Doggo back, and now it is your turn.
The human that got the neck shanked through, are they dead? Or are they bleeding out?
They're bleeding out.
Okay, shillelagh. 7. No.
Man, you're really paying for those early criticals.
You're right.
I've never seen somebody so well equipped for combat consistently not be able to do anything.
I'm a healer. I'm not built for the battlefield.
You've
Just
left a
cleaning
man
up
to bleed
afterwards.
out on the floor. I mean, what kind of healer?
I didn't like him very much.
Lover, not a fighter. Yeah, you've witnessed Latonk's tiny feats of athleticism and decide to just try and take advantage of the situation, giving a horizontal swipe towards the Wererat's head, but he ducks out of the way. His focus seems to be on Latonk now. Enough, it is your turn.
Would I be able to get a chokehold on either of the Werats to sort of stop them fighting? Like, with a view to trying to, like, drag them off to a cell?
You could try.
Okay, what do you want me to roll for it?
That would be
dexterity to grab them?
Yeah, it's your choice as the grappler.
Well, I've got nothing on dex or -1 on strength, so...
The grappled creature has to use an action to escape, but you have to use strength to grapple them.
Oh, yes.
5. Does that...
That's versus a their strength or dexterity.
Yeah, I'd like to try and go for the dazed one because I feel like they might have disadvantage, but I don't think I've done good.
No. So going for the one that's just run through the human, you kind of wrap your arm around her neck, but suddenly the general weakness of what was hitting you before hits you again. You can't maintain a good grip, and she slips down and out of your grasp. She's gonna take an attack of opportunity against you, and miss. So it's fine.
Can I shout to Thomas to get him to choke one out? For fuck's sake, why did I...
Sorry.
Nick, I'm sorry I stole your job. It's me that walked into it this time.
I guess I deserve this.
Is that what you say when you choke one out?
God damn it.
I'm unreasonably proud of myself.
All right. So Thomas will lift one of the small axes from his belt and throw it. He is still enraged. He has not properly understood your advice/instruction to take them alive. Uh-oh. Enough acrobatics.
3.
Uh-oh.
Apparently I'm really feeling it.
So,
There's an axe in the back of my head now, isn't there? This is why I shouldn't have made that joke.
Your call for him to
choke one out.
try and to choke one out came out like half strangled. You just kind of look over in Thomas's direction, are alarmed to see him covered in blood, and you kind of start to say something. You don't know if you managed to get it out because all you see is him suddenly lift an axe from his belt and throw it very quickly in your direction.
I guess we'd better do some credits then. I'm Becky Toothill, and I can be found as Curiosity Epidemic on Twitter, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And if you wanted to see the character sheets for anybody that we're playing as, then they can be found on curiosityepidemic.wordpress.com. James didn't want to record any credits, but you can have these two.
I am Jane Eris Magnet. I can be found on Twitter and YouTube as Maniac Janiac. I can be found on SoundCloud as Jane Eris Magnet, where I do a comedy podcast talking about various bits of interesting media and music and stuff, games we've played, and lots of silly skits. That's Queer and Pleasant Strangers that I do with Laura Kate Dale. Also on stonemonkeyradio.blog, where I write reviews. And I can be found every Thursday UK time around 19:30 hours over on twitch.tv/Janiac, where I'll be playing something with the help of my sexy potato squad, my wonderful streaming community.
Hi, this is Nick, the Dungeon Master for the game, and you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and stream at the Nick Flair. And if you'd like to read some media analysis and self-reflections that I'm writing, you can follow my blog at storieswithnick.blog. Thanks for listening.